This is a video on how to use the transparency tool in Affinity Designer for iPad. The first thing we have to do is open Affinity Designer on your iPad. Straightforward. Now, insert your design into a new document, just as we've done here, and you can see on the right hand side we know it's a vector style program because it has vector style graphic because it has multiple layers. You can select your design as a group and adjust the opacity in the layers option, not the color option but the layer options. You can see I've got the opacity set to 25%, which has lowered the opacity of the entire document. Now, you can also select the single object in the layer tab and then adjust its opacity. Now, I can't show you the layer pad and the opacity option at the same time, but you can see selected is the layer for the yellow flag behind the word U. And I've reduced the opacity of just that bit. Now, if you want to apply a transparency independent of the colour, you can select the transparency tool. That's in the left-hand bar, looks like a little wine glass. Once the transparency tool is selected, select the object you would like to apply the transparency to from the Layers tab. And you can see that's the yellow background I've got there for the word U. You'll notice that there's a drop-down section in the context toolbar, and currently it's set to radial. There's ellipse, radial, conical, and a couple of others that don't actually show up there until you scroll through that section. On the context toolbar there will be a type option with a selection box, and that's what we were just talking about. This gives you the different transparency types you can select. And you can see selected there on the word U, on the letter O of U, there's a line with a dot at either end. Select the type option that best suits your needs. When you select your option, a transparency will appear with several handles on it. That's a transparency bar. That's the dot in the middle of the U, across from the U, O across to behind the U. There are several points or circles on the transparency handles. The black circle is where the most opacity is, while the white circle, or circles, are the most transparency. So it's most transparent towards the white circle, least transparent where the black circle is, the dot at each end of that line there. If the transparency is not the way you need it, you can reverse it by selecting the reverse option. That's all that does. Takes it from the end and puts the transparency there in the centre of the O letter. Fairly straightforward. Once you have it the way you would like your transparency, you can move the handles around your image and make them longer or shorter to adjust the effects of the transparency. If you select one of the handles circles, you can then go to the layer option tabs and adjust the amount of opacity at that point. And you can see I've set it to ellipse there and adjusted the opacity for the letter O of U. Set it to 45%. You can also tap once on the handle line and add more transparency circles to add more levels of transparency to your object. And you can see I've changed the background altogether, so it's almost completely transparent. And that's it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is another short beginner tutorial, an introduction if you like, to how some of the functions work on the iPad. Thank you for watching.